Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Absolute Green Lantern issue 2 by Al Ewing and Janoy Lindsay. Hal Jordan and his friends' lives continue to be turned upside down as the strange void with the white circle in it that Hal once saw finds Jo Mullen, and she hears a voice telling her that she must be without fear, and that she exists on the green level of light. Jo is soon pulled from her mind by Hal, who is in the destroyed diner, having blown apart the building with the Black Hand. Hal notices the green light around Jo, saying that she looks like Abin Sur, and asks what the alien did to her. The way Ewing is deploying the story with little hints like this and what Abin has done to them and something is just so cool. It's a great way to build tension for the plot, while also keeping our initial thoughts on Abin, who in that first issue really kind of had that villain energy around him. It keeps that sort of first initial thought intact. We still kind of think that, oh, maybe he's a villain, maybe he did something he wasn't meant to be doing. The overall sinister nature of the lantern power is also really cool as well. Like, if it was shown as a black void and a white circle, like if I saw something like that, I would not think it would be some sort of invitation to join a space police force and help guard the universe. I would think that it was some sort of cosmic horror trying to take my soul or something. Jo reveals that she has been having hallucinations and sees things that were pulling her towards this place, that thing being Hal, or at least what's on his hand. Hal warns her to stay back because the Black Hand destroys anything it sees as a danger to him, and he cannot control it. He swears that he tried to hold it back from killing the people in the diner, but he doesn't think he has the willpower to control the hand. Now this is interesting since it was implied last issue that Hal was given this power because he had the willpower to keep it under control. Now I'm kind of believing that he's got the willpower to keep the Black Hand in himself. Like, it will lash out, but he's able to power it down inside of him and keep it hidden, effectively making himself and his body the cage to keep it hidden. Hal tells Jo that they don't know the rules of all of this yet, and what happened to John and Guy Gardner or Abin Sur. 5 days prior, Abin Sur descends from the Green Lantern into Evergreen's main street, saying he comes from the Green Lantern and is on the green level of light, and they need not fear him. Still, this doesn't feel like any good guy entrance. This is a real scary alien. It's this giant, and he is a giant. It's made very clear that Abin Sur is like 8 feet tall, and he's got multiple arms, and he's just kind of dropped from the sky and, you know, domed your city and is now telling you not to fear it. I think people should fear this thing. Sheriff Guy Gardner and his 2 deputies, Rita and Roy, confront the alien, with Guy proclaiming himself the law in Evergreen. Abin Sur that he exists at the green level again and orders them to be without fear. And this makes it feel very robotic, like he's got a set of lines that he has to say and get out and is waiting for the appropriate response. Kind of reminds me of like the Green Lantern rings and how they would go looking for another user and they would have a set sort of thing they need to say to a person before it accepts them. Abin soon says something new though, understanding the law, and his judgment will now be passed. Guy and his deputies pull out their guns and point them at Abin Sur, ordering him to stop what he is doing as he begins to power up a green energy in his palm. But Abin Sur again simply orders Guy to be without fear, telling him that he doesn't exist in the spectrum of light. So this kind of piqued my interest again, since Abin is implying that these people do not exist on the spectrum of light, which is something, if you read normal Green Lantern, you know everyone exists on the spectrum of light in some way. And I wonder if this is something he is doing to ensure that they then do exist on this spectrum of light, like he's going to make them exist on it. Like, because this world is created by Darkseid, it's not on the spectrum of light because it's a dark world, it's created from pure evil. So maybe this alien can transform people into beings of the spectrum of light. That would be kind of a neat idea, and kind of goes back to my thought that maybe Abin is like a Green Lantern ring, and like that's why he was talking very robotically, like he is the ring itself and he's trying to find new users to wield the ring or wield the Green Lantern power, and this is him going through the test to make sure that they are capable of wielding great willpower. It's made even better by all this being rather sinister, and there is that evil tinge to it. Like, is this like a good guy doing this, or is this something evil? Soon, John, Hal, and Jo arrive, telling Guy to calm down and stop pointing his gun at the alien trying to make first contact. Despite Deputy Rita trying to shut them up, Joe tells Guy not to make a mistake and escalate this more than it already has. Now this would have been a moment where Guy probably would actually escalate it, and he would in the main universe. He absolutely would get into a fight with this Abin Sur here. But here, Guy actually listens to his former partner and puts the gun down, wanting to start over and learn what Abin wants. Everything shifts in a second though, as Abin wordlessly obliterates Guy Gardner with a blast of energy, declaring Guy Gardner has been judged, and the other's judgment is now in progress. Now obviously this looks like Guy has been killed, but with what Abin was saying about him not being part of the spectrum of the light, him being judged, not to have fear, I wonder if maybe he's become part of the spectrum of the light, like he's become a Green Lantern in some way. The thing is though, it looks like he's just been killed by all of these people, and that's exactly what they all think, because the cops then raise their guns and fire on Abin. However, the bullets ricochet off his force field and hit a bystander. Abin takes note of this and ends up killing Rita for killing an innocent, cutting her head clean off with his hand. He then disarms Roy, quite literally, as he cuts the man's hand off, preventing him from shooting him more. John and Joe rush to help the deputy, trying to stop the bleeding on his arm as Hal is left frozen in fear, but breaks from it to grab Rita's gun, pointing it at Abin, causing the alien to begin to cast its judgment on Hal Jordan, somehow knowing his name. Again, the more I see this sort of thing play out, the more I think that Abin Sur is representing the quote-unquote ring in this world. This is him, you know, testing Hal and testing all of these people to see if they have the willpower to wield the Green Lantern power. There's just so many cool and weird and different takes on all of this lore that I'm familiar with, yet when it starts getting explained, it all begins sort of fitting well with one another, and the mechanics of the Green Lantern Corps, the base mechanics, are all still there. It's just being presented in a truly unique way. Before judgment can be passed on Hal, John stands in front of him, telling him to put the gun down, since what happened to everyone else will just happen to him if he opens fire. Hal lowers the gun, and Abin, who also seems to know who John is by name, leaves, telling them to be without fear. So my theory that Abin is the ring or something to do with that is further confirmed, since he can transform his body into a green construct, a green ball of energy, and it looks kind of like what a ring looks like when it takes off in search of a new user. John returns to help out Roy, telling Hal that he'll take the gun from him when he's ready to give it up. In the present, Joe asks if he ever gave up that gun, and Hal has the Black Hand manifest it, revealing he actually never did and he's still holding it. So the implication here is that the gun is the Black Hand, or at least Hal still had it in his hand when the Black Hand took him over. It's a real neat visualization of the Black Hand. It's a gun, something that's used to snuff out the light, take a life from a person, something that humans use to kill other humans. And I think that's what Ewing is going for here, since Hal explains that the Black Hand is hungry and it wants to eat the light, be it the green light or any other light on the spectrum. And this is such a cool concept for the Black Hand, having it be something that wants to consume everything and, you know, take the light from something, much like how a gun does when a gun is used, and that visual look of a gun is being used to depict it here. It's just so cool, and it kind of reminds me of all the stuff that's happening over in the Martian Manhunter book, and how it's kind of bleeding into real world stuff where, you know, there's this hate and fear and anger in the world, and that's often represented by a gun in the world. You know, a gun is used to often take a life of someone in this world out of anger and fear and pain. So I like that Ewing is doing that here as well, with the Black Hand being represented by the gun. Hal says that the Black Hand should have actually been forgotten about, and it should be weak and dead. But something actually fed it and gave it a fighting chance against the light, and now it is in everything on Earth. He says that he's fighting to keep it at bay, but it keeps telling him that he was right to try and kill Abin Sur with the gun. So being things that are so backwards and different in this universe, like the Black Stars are the galactic police right now, what if the Black Hand is actually right, and what if it is in some way that hasn't been revealed yet, is the good guy, is like the good force of light, while Abin Sur and his green light are the bad guys, or are like something that's trying to consume and change the world for the worse. So fun and exciting and refreshing, because that's something that can happen. As I said, the Black Stars are seemingly the quote-unquote police of the galaxy. So I like that all this different stuff is happening, and things like this could happen. The Black Hand could be the bad guy. It could also be the good guy. Who knows? After the events with Abin, John, Joe, and Hal retreat to Alan Scott's Atomic Bomb Cafe to take stock on what happened. Hal knows that what he did was wrong and he should have helped Roy instead of confronting Abin with a gun, but Joe assures him that Roy is being looked after. John turns the conversation to figuring out what's going on, since no one is coming to save them and they're still behind the construct. So he wants to take charge and deal with Abin Sur, retrieving Joe's old wedding ring from his pocket, thinking how he knows how to take Abin Sur down. So with the ring being shown, it also gleams kind of yellow because it's, gold, with the implication being that he has somehow figured out that the yellow energy of fear will hurt Abin Sur. I'm not really sure exactly how this works, because this is like this little epilogue that kind of shows that John has figured out that the ring or the power of fear is going to hurt Abin, and I guess like maybe he read into what Abin was saying about be without fear, and maybe he thinks that like, oh, if this being wants us to be without fear, maybe it's weak to fear, or maybe it doesn't like fear, so maybe we can use that as a weapon against it. I could see him definitely thinking about that, because John is a smart man. But how he would get that from the ring, like, it doesn't make sense to me, and it felt like I was like missing a page or something, and I went back through the entire issue and thought I maybe missed something, but I didn't, and I guess it's something we're gonna have to wait until the next issue to find out about, but it's just very strange to add this in there and then not give any context to it whatsoever. Absolute Green Lantern issue 2 continued to build its insanely cool and refreshing mystery of the Green Lanterns and the Abin Sur, what he wants and what he represents. Al Ewing continues to mess around with Green Lantern lore in some really fun ways that turns simple ideas like the ring choosing a new user into an intense, terrifying series of events. I can't wait to see what Ewing and his team do with the concept of fear in the next couple of issues, and what the big reveal with the Black Stars and the Black Hand are. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10.